Yo, what is up, guys? Will and Canyon here from Fantasy Flock Basketball. Going to be looking at some NBA player props. Pretty big, massive slate tonight. Excited to take a look at a lot of these lines. Pretty good night for us, honestly, last night. I know we didn't post like official lists of plays, but man, Wendell Carter had himself a game. We were deciding if he wanted to take his points line or his rebounds. Didn't matter. Both hit. He was a monster last night. Banchero did not cover points, but in that same game, Shea was nuts, man. He's had a pretty crazy start to the season, but pretty small slate. But that game, and then obviously, I know you really liked Bam last night. That was one of the plays we liked a lot. Bam had a monster game in a great matchup against Golden State. So we'll take a look at some of these lines. Big slate today. A lot of interesting games. Some close totals, some decent totals, a lot of kind of like middling, okay totals, but we'll go through these games. A lot of like injury question marks too, a lot of illness stuff. There's some stuff going around the NBA. We've gotten a lot of guys who have missed some like non-COVID, like flu type illness games missed. And Embiid in this first game is one of those guys. So he's pretty big, but we still have lines up. So we'll take a look at these. It'll be tough to talk about the Sixers guys without Embiid. So we'll probably focus more on the Wizards side. But yeah, this game, from an injury perspective, like I talked about, Embiid is the main thing. You're not really worried about Kispert or Wright for the Wizards. It's a 6.5 point spread for the Sixers and a 217.5 total. So just kind of taking a look here. I don't know if we want to just kind of, maybe this is kind of a gloss over game, as we've got a pretty big slate. So these games where you're potentially missing Embiid, who sat out Monday, it's hard to talk about any of the Sixers guys. But any of these Wizards line jumping out to you?
No. If no Embiid, I like KP to take advantage of that matchup again. They just played, right? So KP had a big game, 32 points, shot the most in the team, actually second most to Beal. But I'd like KP to exploit that matchup again if Embiid is out. And then on the other side, I like Harden as well. Maxey was the top scorer last game for the Sixers, but he's been on fire. They've been riding the hot hand. I think Harden will be able to get his if Embiid is out. I definitely like it a lot. His points line. I also like his assist line too. I just feel really safe about Harden at his line. I think he's just got such a high floor with good upside, especially without Embiid.
Yeah, and I think defensively too. I think people will you look at that Raptors game, right, with no Embiid and like the crazy Maxey game, but I wouldn't worry too much about that from a Harden offensive usage standpoint. Specifically looking at the matchup, right? If you look at that Raptors team versus what the Wizards are going to be able to do defensively, so I like that. What's Harden's assist line? Is he at 9.5?
I think he is. I think he's at 9.5, and so again with no Embiid, 21.5 points, 9.5 assist lines, a 22-10 stat line is such a high possibility with upside to just really smash them both. I think he's gonna be close to 9 assists. I like the points a little more. I mean, without Embiid, he's gonna be close to 20 points in every game, and so it's a matter of if he's just at all efficient, at all, he'll cover it. Or if he shoots more than Maxey in this next game, he'll cover it. There's just too many possibilities for Harden to cover 21.5 specifically without Embiid that I like that line a lot. Yeah. And then again, KP, I like him to take advantage of that matchup with no Embiid. Don't hate Beal. Seeing him shoot some more. He's been struggling offensively as far as scoring goes a bit this year, but I don't hate it. But it's at 20.5, which is right around where he is, and he's not even playing up to what he could do. So you could take advantage of a lower line with Beal there right now. But
yeah, I like Harden assist. I talked about that one. Good value on the books that have it up. Obviously, a lot of these books don't have these lines up with the Embiid news. Waiting on that, but I think Harden at a 9.5 line is always a good look, and obviously good value there because he's a guy who night in and night out could be a 10 flat. I mean, he's averaging 10 assists, and right up there with right around 18 potential, and especially without Embiid. I know there's kind of the conversation of offensively there's more asked of him or anything, but I mean 11, 17 assists these last two. He's just he's going to do it also. No, actually, I like Harden a lot tonight too.
Yeah, but again, all of these are pretty dependent on Embiid, right? So
it's tough to really pin these down. So I'm cool to move on to the next game. I think I talked about the guys that I wanted to hit. I do like KP tonight, if with no Embiid potentially, but have to wait on that. I think the other guys too. You've got some. higher lines, and there's just a lot of lines we can look at tonight, right? So I don't feel like super forced to like, really pin down if I love Maxey at 20.5. I like Maxey a lot. It is a pretty high line, but man, he's been pretty good. So I'm not gonna like take the under or anything. But I'm cool to move on to the next one if you're good.
Yeah.
Cool. I will move on to this one here. Scroll down here. We got Boston, Cleveland. So this one is a 220 total, 2-point spread for Boston. Injury perspective, same Boston guys who have been out. Garland actually, he was practicing, and obviously it's been an eye issue. So we take a look here. Just kind of injury reports. He's listed as questionable. He was a full participant in practice, which is pretty nice. Obviously, from an injury perspective, things like face and eye, I'm not an injury analyst or expert, but for the most part in NBA, it's a lot better to be coming off of those injuries and being questionable if you're a full participant in practice versus an ankle or knee soreness or something with your back that is very much a how are you feeling thing. So I think there's a decent chance that, Garland does play tonight. So kind of keep that in mind looking at these lines. But that's kind of the biggest injury thing in this game. But still, I'm not confidently saying that because it would not surprise me if they're like, hey, we'll give him one more game. All right, and we are back. No, I was just saying, potentially with the return of Garland, obviously we're not seeing any of. All right, shout out to Spectrum Internet hitting hard. It's one of those things where like you go through the whole day, internet never cuts out, and then you start the stream up, and they're testing the Wi-Fi or something, but it's okay.
Wall spell.
Right. All right, it's looking pretty rough. I think this might be a reset the router kind of situation. So, looks like we're coming back. We'll give it one more shot. We'll give it another shot, but we might have to call it. Might have to pull the plug on Will.
Quick.
Running the stream.
Don't say all right. So what I was saying, because every time you do that, it goes right.
Why don't you talk to me about the Boston side in this game?
All right. Yeah, I like both the big guys. I like Tatum and Brown again here, 27.5, 23.5 respectively. I do think it's a lower scoring game, not just because the first one went into overtime. Just in general, I think it's lower scoring the second time around. But I actually do like Boston this one, even though it's in Cleveland. I think they can get revenge from that last game. And, I like Tatum and Brown. I think Brown probably has a better matchup, but I think they're both going to shoot a ton.
Yeah,
they're both going to play as many minutes as they can. It should be a really good contest. And I think the lines are pretty good value for how much they should get. So I like Tatum having 28. I like Brown having 24. If you want to go one or the other, maybe just go Brown because you get the 4-point discount and probably better matchup. So I like Brown in this one. On the Cleveland side, it kind of does depend on Garland.
Right, and we don't have any of these lines too. So
yeah, you're right.
I don't know if it's even worth really talking about because obviously either side it's going to impact the lines that like a guy like Donovan Mitchell has. So I don't think we need to speculate too much. We can take a peek at some of these peripherals. Yeah. Maybe just kind of a quick assist peek at some of these Celtics guys.
They have Tatum at 4.5 assists with a lot of value on the under, which is kind of shocking to me. I don't hate him having over 4.5 assists in this one.
Mm-hmm. He's not an underdog.
I'm not going to play it, but it is pretty good value. Like to get plus money there, plus 132 in a lot of books for over 4.5 is pretty good value just in general for me. I'm not going to play the under, but if you like that line, just go to a book and play it. But underdog does give you better value on the under if you like that one more. But assist wise, nothing crazy. I mean, not a lot of value for any overs, and I do think it is lower scoring.
Right, and we're only seeing Marcus Smart as the only underdog assist guy. So I think we can move on to the other game. Yo, what's up, Austin? Kyrie to the ban list. It was a tough game. I think it's so tough because like he's been like pretty good. Like it's just you get these like awful games from these guys, but I mean, my biggest thing is like if a guy's on the ban list, like. And you don't feel confident playing his under when it's a high line, like it's just you gotta be you gotta have a short. I was gonna say short attention span.
Short memory.
Yeah.
Big goldfish.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, maybe have a short attention span. All right, we'll take a peek At this next game here, we've got Kings Miami. So this one is a 221 total. Miami coming off a back-to-back, playing a back-to-back here. 6-point spread. Major injuries. Oladipo's been out. That's not anything new. But Fox is probably the big one. You know, we've seen a couple of these games. It looks like the injury isn't super significant or long-term, but he's going to be out again tonight. So we'll take a look here. Obviously, Davion Mitchell starting in his place. On the point side here, Herder's got that 15.5. He's been coming off some pretty crazy shooting efficiencies. I'd probably prefer to play either of the other Kings guys at the same line. Where are you at with that?
I don't hate the Herder line.
I don't think it's a bad line. I think just comparing it to the other guys.
Sure. I mean, we just see a really solid usage in the last 2 games from Herder.
Yeah.
The game without Fox, and he's kind of the hot hand right now, so I don't hate riding the hot hand for Herder here. Keegan Murray too. I don't hate that as well. At 16.5, really good value as well, right? You got minus 142 on one of the books here. It's a little all over the place, but I think I might like Herder more.
I think we can have a Herder heart to heart here, because I think the thing with me that I kind of hang my head on when I look at, like, I think you do like the volume a decent amount with what Herder's been doing, and obviously, De'Aaron Fox, he's been playing decent minutes, but I think the big thing for me is, like, even in a lot of these games that he's covering, obviously crazy efficiency, right? 27-point game, he was 7 for 8 from 3, 8 for 16 from the field in a 26-point game, 5 for 10 from 3. But, like, early in the season, he's 5 for 8 from 3, 6 for 9, scoring 23 and 18. It's just one of those, like, Herder shoots okay, and, like, I think there's a decent chance he doesn't cover. Like, I think you kind of like need him to shoot really well to cover, and I feel better personally about Murray. I know Sabonis has been pretty disappointing, but at their lines, I don't know. I have a little more confidence, I guess.
Sure.
And I don't even think it's a bad, like, I'm not even saying, like, oh, Herder, biggest bait of the century, is an under for sure. Like, no Fox. I mean, the volume's going to be there, right? Davion Mitchell's a pretty aggressive player, but he's a really, really good assist guy. Like, he really, really looks to pass, and that can really benefit some of these other guys. I see Austin on the Murray call out again. Yeah, I think I don't think any of them are bad, to be honest. I think these are all, like, pretty nice lines with no De'Aaron Fox. I know it's the Heat, but it's not like an awful total in this game, you know?
Yeah, I'm really interested in the bigs in this matchup. We had them both play. I mean, they played each other a couple games ago. Bam had a decent game. Sabonis had a decent game. I like Bam's assists at 2.5, but I don't think it's at 2.5 underdog. I'm assuming it's 3 flat. I can't see that right now on my screen, but I would assume it's 3 flat, which I still really like for Bam. He's just been getting a lot of usage in these last couple games, playing a lot more, a bit more aggressively, or a bit more aggressive offensively, and just getting the ball in his hands a lot more often. And in a pace-up spot here against the Kings, maybe not as much as you normally would see, because with Fox, right, that kind of factors the Sacramento pace a lot. So without Fox, maybe not as much of a pace-up spot for Miami, but still a pace-up spot. And I like Bam in those kind of scenarios. He's been a lot better in pace-up games and just better in general recently.
Yeah.
So I like Bam here. I can't tell if I like him more at points or assists here. I don't hate Sabonis either at 15.5. I know he's been kind of all over the place, but
yeah,
the bigs matchup is pretty interesting to me. I think they're going to see more of a consistent usage, those two, and I think the usage for the guards in this game could be a lot more spread out.
Right.
Jimmy Butler is at, what's his points line at? Or did you see the Bam assist line on Underdog here?
No, it's not up.
Okay. Okay.
No, there's a Sabonis is at 5 flat. He's at that 5 flat line. You've got I think Davion Mitchell at 5 flat is pretty interesting too. I think that's a pretty good one. You could see this over 4.5 is like minus 145, minus 160. It's a different Kings team, right, than we saw last season. But man, last season, I mean, Davion Mitchell, when he was kind of the point and was playing alongside, DiVincenzo a decent amount, I feel like that maybe lesser degree, but from an assist perspective, I think you could argue it's even better for him with like a Herder next to him, right? But obviously with Murray and Sabonis, I like this line. I think that's a pretty good line. I think I was kind of comparing it to Sabonis as well. I think that's a pretty decent one. But yeah, we don't have a lot of Heat assist lines. I think it's mostly the Kings guys. Jimmy's got it.
I don't hate the Davion Mitchell call. I mean, I would like to have seen a bit more last game, but he was
Yeah.
kind of shooting pretty efficiently, so that's kind of why we didn't see a lot of assists last game. He was
Hmm.
what 9 for 11, so he just had a good game scoring, and Fox did play the first quarter of that game. So yeah, with Mitchell starting right, like we saw it last year, like that 5 line would have been glorious last year when Mitchell was starting.
Yeah.
So you could take advantage of that because the line, is probably pretty low because of his last couple stints with playing a lot of minutes. Him having, I think, like
Yeah.
1 and 0 assists in the last 2 games or something like that.
Right,
So
and he ended up playing 31 minutes. I know Fox. It was kind of early. I mean, made the most passes on the team. Like I think like a full game of Mitchell playing point, especially against the Heat team, which I think he won't be able to score as easily. Especially a guy like Mitchell who's pretty aggressive. Right, it's a lot. It's a lot kind of at the rim, um, some midi stuff. But yeah, I don't. I think I lean more towards what we saw from him last season than the game before. But I get what you're saying for sure. Didn't have a great potential
yeah,
assist game. It was like I think it's like 5 potential, but I think
not
it's
seeing
what's
a Tyler Harrow line. Are you?
I know he was. Is he listed as? I thought maybe he'd be
Yeah.
listed as questionable. I know he got hit in the face, but he ended up coming back.
He wasn't on. He's not on the injury report right now. So
No,
weird. Okay. Well,
they're scared.
yeah, he's probably around 21, I would guess.
Yeah. We can kind
Which
of move through these. Sorry, did you want to talk more about?
no, you're good. You're good. We can go to the Hawks game.
Yeah, I just kind of want to, as there's a ton of games, so I want to make sure we're able to kind of touch on all these, within the hour that we're gonna work through these. Hawks game,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny, man. What if I told you that there would be a massive NBA slate and the Knicks game would have the highest total last year? You would have thought I was crazy. They were just it's insanely slow paced team last year. They're about middle of the pack this season, and they're playing against a Hawks team that's pretty high in pace too. 23 and a half total. Really, really nice total for just games in general. Obviously, it's a little bit of a nod to the Hawks, but the Knicks have been a part of some pretty high scoring games. They've really upped the pace. From
Yeah,
an
and they're also pretty bad at defense, so that helps.
right, yeah, definitely. So we'll switch over to that one. No massive injury news or reports for either of these teams. I think, Bogdanovich is out. I think Okongwu is probably the biggest kind of questionable guy. But I don't think that's a super big impact because I don't think we really want to play a lot of Capella stuff anyways.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would be more solidified minutes. I think you'd get some other guys rotating in there. I don't think it'd be like the Capella show.
Yeah, this is a tough one because, Knicks are one of those teams where we've seen those three guys have 20 points each.
Yeah,
It's usually pretty spread out. I don't hate Brunson here still,
I
even if DeJounte Murray is on him,
yeah
which they probably will do because I don't think they'll
right
want Trey on Brunson. They'll probably just sleep Trey on Fournier. I still like Brunson a lot.
yeah
I think he can still get his own, and now he's got a cheaper line here, probably because of the matchup. But he's just got so much usage. Like he didn't cover this in the last 2 games, but he shot 19 times last game, only had 16, only got to the line once, like 0 for 3 from three. Well, first game this season without a 3-pointer, which would have covered it at this line at least. So I still really like Brunson to get 19, 20 points in this game. Should just be a high scoring game, high pace game, like you said, for a Knicks game. So I like that for Brunson a lot. So I think Brunson might be my favorite Knicks play as far
hmm
as points goes.
I'd be curious to see
Interested
his
to
like
see his assists.
PRA or points
Yeah,
assists. I want to take a peek at that just because I do think he is one of those guys who
yeah,
like
pretty good assist line too. Honestly, very nice.
Brunson 28 and a half PRA. What's his assist line at that you're seeing?
I see 6 flat and 6.5. I don't have underdog here
Yeah, I
on
see
my radar.
6 flat. Yeah, it's all right. It's kind
What's
of
his points in? There you go. So points and assists is what, 24? Yeah, 24 and a half. I think I like that the most. 24 and a half points and assists. I mean, he can just cover that in point. He can just mess around on X. And if he does have like 16 points, but he has 8 assists, boom, or 9 assists, like you cover it there.
hmm
I kind of like that. I like that the most actually.
yeah
I think he's one of those guys where it's like, yeah, if you think he can pop off for points and just take his points, but he's also kind of like a high floor type of guy. I think he's got good usage.
yeah
I think
He's
no matter
looked.
what, he'll find a way to get to like
I
at
know
least
he's
like
looked the
60
best.
points.
I think. I know Randall has had his moments too, and Barrett. But from like a consistency standpoint, I know it might not look at it from a like box score perspective, but I feel like he's looked like the most consistent from like a offensive weapon perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, at home, I think his home splits are much better than his away splits. And, he's like a 15-5, 16-6 kind of
Wait,
floor
wait,
guy, right? So,
they're at no, they're not. They're not at home, right? This
yeah,
is
they are.
no,
Oh,
no,
wait.
this
No,
is
they're not.
Trey.
Sorry.
This is Trey's house, right?
Oh,
Trey owns
okay.
MSG, right? So
Yeah,
they're
you're right.
playing at
This is,
Trey's. That's what I.
sorry. You had me tripping there. I was
I
like,
know.
wait.
I was setting up the
No, they
bit.
are at home. Okay. Yeah, I messed up.
Um,
Um, no, but like I was gonna say, like his floor feels like a 16-6. Like he's gonna get his own. He's gonna get a lot of usage. He's gonna play a lot of minutes. And having 16-6 as a floor, that's 22 already. And so all you need is like a decent game
Yeah.
for him to cover that PNA. So I like the PNA a lot.
Yeah, for Brunson. Yeah.
Now that we Trey in New York, do you wanna? Do you
I pulled it
flirt
up.
with,
I have the Trey.
yeah.
I have the Trey symbol, the Trey face above
All right.
our head right now. I mean, it's at 28.5. I think it's hard not to like. I think you look at some of these other lines, right? I think like lines like I look at a Collins line and it's so tempting at 13.5. He's just been so inconsistent. And I don't think this is the kind of matchup where even in a nice total, I don't look at this matchup and think that I want to play John Collins.
Yeah, I don't hate it because I like him to like. I actually like that matchup the most to exploit Randall and
Really?
Barrett. Yeah, I
Well,
don't love.
I guess
those
it
two
depends on what you
defensively.
think defensively they'll do, right? But
Yeah, I
I
mean,
I
Knicks
don't.
aren't going to be
I
running the
think
zone.
Barrett's probably on Hunter. I think of what they want to do. Like I don't think
Yeah,
they
I mean,
want Barrett
whether
on Collins.
I think the soft spot of this defense is Barrett Randall, right? I mean, Brunson and Fournier are sneaky defensive guys, and then obviously Mitch Robinson's just in there to be a rim protector. So I mean, it's funny. Robinson and Capella are just kind of a wash at this point, and so I think you have the edge on defense for the guards for New York, and then I think the weak spot is the 3 and the 4. But yeah, I mean, they do match up quite well, so they could probably switch a lot in this game. But Trey coming off really rough game against the Raptors. I like a bounce back game here in MSG.
The Raptors have been doing that, man. So I mean, you look at that Harden game, that Trey game, and they did that last season too. Like they do have a really. The Raptors are one of those teams that's like so strong defensively, 1-5, that they really can like make it their mission to like not let Trey or Harden beat them. And we saw that with like Maxey in that game too. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. I told you guys Bam is banned. Wait, Bam popped off. He's unbanned.
Yeah, he's unbanned. He covered the last 2 times we took him.
I'm on Trey points plus assist, Trey at the Garden. Yeah, I think it's really hard to not like Trey at these lines.
Yeah, I like his threes. If it's 3 flat, I really like that.
I like it more than Murray at 20.5. Honestly,
Yeah, me too.
it's good juice on the over too for Trey's lines on the Bucks.
Yeah, I like 28.5 a lot. I also like. I think I just like both point guards in this game.
Yeah, I would rather play. I think I'd rather play Collins and Hunter.
Yeah, I don't feel safe about any consistency.
Oh
there.
yeah, and that's kind of what I was calling out with Collins. Is like
Collins, yeah.
the line looks so good, but it's just, man, these games where he can just disappear, and I feel like this feels like a Trey game, which obviously Collins can still have his stuff and be a part of that too. Like he could still have 14 plus, but I don't know. I just feel like it's hard to feel confident about Collins right now. He's doing cardio.
13.5 too. I like that.
Yeah, he's doing some cardio out there some of these games, man.
Yeah, he's just out there running around. It's like recess.
Mitchell Robinson at 6.5. No, thank you. Okay.
I think we're good to go to the next game.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, Trey alternate 40 plus, I think is what I'm doing tonight in the Garden.
Off of a 10 turnover, 3 for whatever game.
That goes to OT and last second shot. If I could parlay that last second buzzer beater step back 3 method of basket. All right. Next up, we've got Charlotte, Chicago. Another decent total, 223.5. 5-point spread for the Bulls. Not expecting to have Terry. Obviously, LaMelo is out again tonight. It's not looking like they'll be Terry. I'm going to refresh this just to make sure these are all updated, because sometimes they update while we're going through these, but I don't think Terry is going to play tonight, or Martin. Lonzo's out. And then we got some questionable guys. I think Zach LaVine, he's tough. He played their most recent game, and when he's questionable with the injury management, a lot of times they will sit him the second game, but it's not it is the second leg of a back-to-back. They played last night, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a LaVine lineup anyway.
Right. I just think for the Bulls guys, I think you just kind of have to expect that LaVine doesn't play. I know he's kind of listed as questionable, and there's a chance he goes, and he looked fine, but I think they've already announced that they're gonna kind of handle him carefully, some injury management stuff. So just something you got to be aware of. Do we have other Bulls lines?
Yeah, we got a Vooch line and a DeRozan line that are both pretty juiced, kind of assuming that LaVine will be out.
Yeah, these look like LaVine outlines, which I agree with.
Yeah. Vooch at 18.5. I like the matchup. I just don't like how he's been playing. Been playing very up and down. I don't love the 18.5. I kind of like the under on that. Rebounds, though, I would be interested in taking a look at. He's been rebounding the ball really well, and this is
a nice pace spot. Yeah.
12.5 is for another really high line, man. I still kind of like it, but the value's on the under.
Yeah, that is pretty high. I didn't think it'd be a 12.5 even in this spot. I thought you'd be able to get a 11.5.
Yeah, that's too high. It's too high for me. Yeah, that's enough for me. And also, like, would we be super surprised if the Bulls kind of just took care of Charlotte at home here and we're up by
Charlotte's been playing a lot of these games pretty close, but I agree. I all the games they've been close, and I've not expected it to be that way. So it would not shock me at all.
Yeah,
Bulls looks pretty good.
They're good up against bad teams, especially. So,
and they've been decent against good teams too. I mean, the Bulls this season for sure. So I think this is one of those like 6-point spreads that I don't think is on like blowout watch, but it would not shock me if we were looking at it and that was the case. But where's these? I'm curious at some of these assist lines are at. Oh, we don't.
I know. I'm seeing so much value on all the unders here.
Well, we don't have a Smith line. I was really curious. I know that's probably waiting confirmation of Terry being out, obviously.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah, that would be.
We've got
to look at.
It's NBA, man. That I'm interested in.
Oh, what are you saying?
I'm a little interested in Gordon Hayward here, PRA. I really like what Gordon Hayward's been doing this season. His PRA is at 27.5.
He feels like the most consistent scorer. Like, we've had a PJ game, you get Kelly games here and there, but I feel like Gordon has felt more consistent of those guys.
Yeah, what's his points line at? Because I don't know if he covers 27.5 PRA without covering
27.5 PRA, and then his points on underdog 18.5.
I could see an 18 like 6-4 game easily. It's tough. What's just his RNA?
I don't know if we have an RNA on underdog.
We might not. Okay.
Yeah,
I would also like to see Terry lines. We're waiting not technically on Terry.
We've got a lot of games to run through. Already a half hour in, so I'm cool to kind of keep moving here. I think the Bulls lines are kind of like accurate for LaVine out, so I don't feel great like talking about those. It feels like LaVine's already out, and then if he does play miraculously, obviously it just changes a lot. So
yeah,
cool to move on here to Clippers Houston. 223 decent total. Nice pace-up spot for the Clips. No Kawhi again tonight. And then Fernando, Jae'Sean Tate. Nothing too significant. Sengun getting the start again.
Yeah, this one's interesting. They just played, and it was a low-scoring game. I think this one can be a lot higher scoring.
Yeah.
What do we got for Paul George? 24.5. I mean, he's coming off that 35-point game. Maybe they think he just... I don't know. What do they think? Just disappears?
He's had a pretty inconsistent start to the season, I guess. So that's probably what that's like hedged towards. But still,
what's Zubac at? Ooh, I like Zubac at 11.5. Rockets bigs defensively, not great. Also, they're a little undersized for a guy like Zubac. Covered this last game, 16 points, pretty efficient, 6 for 8. But that's kind of what you expect from a guy like Zubac. He's not going to take a lot of high percentage shots.
Yeah.
So for him, only need 12 in a game that I think is going to be even higher scoring. I like that a lot for him. And they don't really have a lot of depth at that position either.
Yeah.
So a team like the Rockets, who have more depth and bigger guys like Sengun, Jabari, Garuba, Fernando, whatever. The Clippers are running Zubats, and then the next big that they have is like Marcus Morris, Batum,
Yeah.
right?
Like he's just been
Um,
playing like 30 minutes.
yeah, unless they decide to activate Moses Brown this game, I think Zubats is a shoe in for you minutes, and then 12 points. I mean, he can just stumble into 12 points in this kind of game.
Right.
So
When
I
you're on the
actually really
floor
like
with Kawhi, or not Kawhi, when you're on the floor with PG and Reggie Jackson and these guys, yeah,
Yeah, I
I
might
hate
take
that.
that right now myself.
It's pretty good juice on the over too. Got a Sengun Barnes, trays of money at Madison Square Garden. Yeah, we were just talking about it. He's probably, I think he just has to be one of your favorite points plays in that game because it's not like a crazy trade line. It's a really nice total too. Was that like a 233 total? I like that. You got Paul George at 24.5. I just can never bring myself to bet anything Jalen Green. He's
Come
just
on.
so. I mean, it's not even just it's not even just that we're haters. It's literally like he's just the definition of like boom or bust, right? Just these games, man. And the line is just it. Yeah, I just don't know how you could get excited about playing that.
I don't hate Kevin Porter Jr. though. I actually don't hate Jalen Green either. I know it is a little scary, but I just like the Rockets to score more in this one.
Yep.
At home on the back-to-back against the Clippers. Well, not back-to-back days, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
KPJ at 19.5 is interesting. I'm looking at his assists really quick. He's at 5.5. A lot of juice on the over. Double check for me if Underdog has that line because I don't see it here myself. But 5.5 for KPJ. I mean, had 5 last game, and in a game they only had 93 points.
Yeah, he's at
It's a
6
decent
flat.
line. Okay. I mean, still don't hate it. Push value is probably annoying, but it's just it's still safe.
Yeah, it's probably like right where he should be at. I mean, he's this season he's like a 13 potential, and we always talk about potential assists versus actual assists, and that like the 50% for guys like KPJ and like more traditional point guard assist guys. A lot of times you kind of look at 50% being the barometer for like what you can expect from guys for most nights. So 6 is probably where he should be at. I do like it. I do kind of like this game. Eric Gordon has been hot. Yeah, dude. Eric Gordon has been a waiver wire darling for me. I got to play him the other night. Yeah, he's just been playing big minutes. And yeah. I don't know if I feel super confident to play him elsewhere. We got the Sengun boards. We'll go to rebounds for you, Kevin. I'll click on the rebounds tab. We're rebound haters, but I'll pull it up. I mean, Sengun's going to play decent minutes with no Fernando, right? Like that is pretty nice. We've kind of seen from him. 9 flat. It's not bad. It's just needing 10 is kind of a lot. Yeah, I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think there's better plays though out there in a big slate like this.
Yeah, also it's rebounds, so that kind of impacts.
So you're just off no matter what.
Well, I think for rebounds, it's harder for me to be like, okay, I feel confident he'll be able to get to 9 boards, Like I feel like there's other things I can point to when we look at points or assists as far as like pushes are concerned. And that might be more of like a personal thing. So we're going to move through. I know we've kind of been, we've been live for coming up on 40. So I want to make sure we get to these games, especially this next one, Detroit, Milwaukee. Very, very tight game last game, but it's an 11.5 point spread. Love the Pistons, but I don't know how great I feel about them being able to keep 2 games back to back with Milwaukee close. Is that where you're at?
Yeah, I like the Bucks -12 here. Unfortunately,
I think they have the ability to do that, but the Bucks are just so much better all around, and we are unable to stop anything that Giannis wants to do to us.
Yeah,
That's good. That's nice.
I really want to take something with Jaden Ivey again here.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just played so well last time. 40 minutes, shot the ball a lot.
I really think that flu game was kind of fluky. And actually, it's kind of interesting. I don't know how much we'll see of this, but there's been conversations about him playing more staggered minutes with Cade. And I think from an offensive standpoint, that would be really exciting to see more of that. Because I think they're playing decently together, but obviously from like a fantasy perspective, minutes that Ivy gets to play with Cade off the floor is just really nice altogether, right? Because that's just a huge usage guy that you're playing alongside. Obviously, Cade makes opportunities for other guys, like that's true, but 13.5, that's a good line. I like that. Is that a homer thing, or can someone in the chat who's not a Pistons fan tell us if they like Jaden Ivey over 13.5 against the Bucks?
No, I do like that a lot. I was looking at his PRA potentially as well, just trying to find what gives me the best value.
Yeah.
I do like 13 there.
Yeah, his peripherals are so interesting too, like his like PRA shouts, just because I'm still like, even as like a fantasy guy, like I had no expectation that he would be able to put up the peripherals that he is putting up in his like first handful of games in the NBA. Like he just really didn't do that a ton at Purdue. And his vision's been really good. He's been rebounding the ball super well, which is something you don't really see that kind of like improve in the NBA, right? But he's just kind of like an athletic guard that's been getting it. But yeah, 21.5. I think I'd just rather go points.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
You okay?
I'm okay with the points there. Yeah, I feel good just because I feel like he, Cade is a guy that's obviously going to score. His line's going to be a little higher, so it's like scary for him to have an off night and not cover whatever his line's at. Mm-hmm. And then same with like Bogey and Bay, live or die by the 3. Yeah. Maybe not as much, actually.
I know. I was going to say, like, I know we kind of give that label. I mean, I'm taking Bogey at 18.5 over Bay at 15.5 all day.
Yeah,
Bogey's much rather play Bogey.
And then, like, Ivy to me is another guy. It's like still just getting the rookie lines with a guy that's playing a ton of minutes and a ton of usage. So that's why I would lean his points the most out of probably anybody. I do like Bogey's line.
Sengun last 4 has been 11, 9, 9, 11. Yeah, I think that 8.5 line is pretty nice. So I know Kevin talked about being able to get it at 8.5. Like I do like that a lot. It's just when you have a line that's a flat, you're like wanting to get the over, obviously. So like it's not really 9, it's really 10, but you get the push. But it's like, it wouldn't shock me if you went out there and had 8 boards. Like obviously I'm not expecting him to do that, but that's kind of my only thought with it. Yeah, I think Bogey's really good. I know we got the question, would you take Bogey 3s? Bogey, I will say, before we spend any time talking about Bogdanovic, I do want to say he has been insanely efficient just as an NBA player. He will not be able to maintain his 3-point percentage. It's been otherworldly. But with that being said, like he's shooting a super high volume, and I feel like you feel pretty safe about that, at least somewhat continuing. For the most part, obviously it's fluctuated a little bit, but like he's shooting 50% from 3. I mean, his best 3-point percent in his career for a season was 42.5. So like that's his best. So it's just like, it's something that won't maintain. Like he's going to have some of these 1 for 7 games. Like that's going to happen. And that just happens with any good 3-point shooter. But he's been playing super well, even outside of the 3 ball. I know he feels like a live or die by the 3 guy, just because that's kind of like what he's pitching as a little bit, but he's been having some of these games where like a decent amount of his volume is just not shooting 3s. Like he's actually attacking a little bit too. He's been fun to watch, man. I guess with the question, I don't know if I would take it at 3 flat because you need 4. And if he's getting you 12 points off of 3s, like I think there's a chance. I don't know. Do you like 3 flat 3s or over 18.5 points more?
Probably 18.5 points, honestly.
I think so too. He's had 3 straight games where he's hit 3 threes and covered the points by at least 4. Yeah,
and I just like how aggressive he's been. Yeah. So I mentioned them live or dying by the 3, but like no, he's had less than half his shots last game were 3s. Yeah. So like sure he'll pop off for like 10 or more 3s certain games, like 3 points attempted, that is. But yeah, he's been getting really aggressive. And
right. Like he's not been doing like Klay Thompson stretches, right? Like he has these games where he like shoots a decent amount and only 6 threes. Like it's not like it's like a massive percent. I think it's just people's perception of, and obviously with that being said, there was a point a couple of games ago where he was leading the league in 3-pointers made. So like I get that that's kind of what people have kind of pigeoned him as, but he's been pretty aggressive outside of that. So I think I would lean points as well.
Yeah.
But I do like Ivy a decent amount. Any of these Bucks guys, I know we spent a decent amount on the Pistons boys. And I guess I'll just quickly call out. You like Cade at 21.5? He's been pretty hot.
I do. I just another guy that I think has been playing really aggressively, and he's just been on a tear lately. So I still like it.
Yeah.
Um, this
I
against his defense, though, I mean, he did well last game, but against his defense in another game in Milwaukee now, I don't know how much I love it. I On the Buck side, I actually kind of like Drew Holiday again. He's been shooting a lot better, and if I think of anybody in that game that when we played against him last time, Drew is really the one that killed us.
yeah.
He had a lot of clutch shots, a lot of threes. Passing wise, he found a lot of good skip passes for open threes as well. Like Drew, thinking back on that game, Drew carved us. And so I think they're gonna probably. I don't think it's gonna be as close as last game. I think Bucks run away with it.
Yeah, I
Despite
really don't
that.
either. This game is definitely on blowout potential for me. And obviously the
Yeah,
spread indicates that, but I wouldn't get to this is just a natural thing for the NBA. Um, you don't want to look too closely at like even games that are played the same nights or not the same nights, but like the same week, right? These like kind of back to back games where it's just one day apart. You can't count on that, right? Obviously the spread indicates that, but I don't know. I could see this being a blowout.
yeah. I mean,
Right.
that's something we've been saying, but like really haven't actually factored in that this could be
Yeah, this could be a
scary.
route. And I still like. I think Ivy. I like Ivy points a lot. I mean, that feels like Ivy points line after his first two games. You know,
Yeah.
like he's been really
Um,
aggressive.
Ride the threes for now and have to keep pace with the Bucks. Yeah, I mean that's true. That's a good point. We'll probably be down a lot, and so they could find themselves trying to get Bogdanovich or Bay shooting this back into this game. So, um,
I
just
go.
overall
We
points
we would
and
both go
also
points. I think there's just better value there. I think you look at the last three games, right? Three games that he shot well from three. Three straight 50% from three games. Only three threes. So 3 for 6, 3 for 6, 3 for 6. But covered his points 23, 21, 22. So I just think you look at that and he's had. I mean, you just take a look at his like obviously he's had games where he shot double digit threes, right? He's had a 10, a 10, and a 12. But if you just look at Bogey this season, he shot really efficiently from three, but he's been right at this line even in games where he hasn't covered the threes. So I
yeah,
think you just feel a little bit safer about that. I think it's one of those. It is more likely in my mind that he covers points without covering threes, and that's hitting four with what the underdog line has it at, than the other way around. For him to have four threes and he doesn't cover points, it's like, geez, man, he was awful everywhere else. You know, like it was
yeah,
just threes and just four, right? Because if he hits five, it's 15, and he just needs two buckets. So that's kind of where my head's at.
yeah.
All right, next up here, we're going to kind of fly through these a little bit, and we'll just kind of give our favorite plays to this one. I know Van
Oh,
Vliet is questionable. What's up?
there's a line that I really liked in this game. I was looking at it, and it's just so much higher than I thought they'd place it, man.
What? So
Sorry.
you got Novosel and no Keldon Johnson. That's
I
pretty big. This game's
Yeah,
a
the
two.
Calvin Johnson thing is what's stupid.
Yeah, it's 224 total, 7.5 point spread for Toronto. Spurs have just been in games. It's crazy. Like the Spurs are 5-2 right now.
Yeah, they're not in games; they're winning games.
It's just every game they're just like dogs, and it's just like nah, the Spurs just like are tied heading into the fourth against like teams we think are going to be top seeds. It's crazy. Well coached team, man. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I was really like loving the Pirtle line. It's at 15 and a half. Still value on the over. I still kind of like it. Um, with Johnson and them being out, I think he'll probably be back closer to 10 shots in this game or
Mm,
more. And honestly, I really like what I saw from Pirtle. He only had 4 points last game against the Timberwolves, but like his worst games, 4 points against the Timberwolves. That's Cat and Gobert, right? It's a really good defensive bigs. 13 points against the Sixers and Bede, and then 12 points again against the Timberwolves. Other than that, like 21 points against Vooch, 14 against Gobert, 21 against the Pacers, which is probably a better matchup, but still Miles Turner. Actually, he might have been out that game, but 21 against the Pacers, 14 against the Hornets. So I think he's really more of a 14, 15, 16 guy, and his stats and his production's a little skewed from some pretty early tough matchups. And so now here in this one, the Raptors are good 1 through 5 defensively,
yeah,
but if anything's gonna help him out, he's gonna be the biggest guy on the floor. So
right.
I don't hate him covering that 15 and a half, especially without Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell. And same with Trey Jones. I think 13 and a half for Trey Jones is a little low. He's been, talk about inefficient and streaky. Trey Jones has been that, but off sheer usage, I think those two guys can definitely cover. I wish we
Yeah.
could see a McDermott line because McDermott's probably going to chuck a
Yeah,
bunch
and
of
we
threes.
on underdog, we're not seeing any of these Spurs lines
Oh,
locked in. But yeah, I think that's probably a nod to the recent report of Keldon being out. Maybe they just haven't updated. We know a lot of these books haven't made the updates for what the lines are going to be at. But I agree with those call outs too. I think those are pretty good lines with, the injuries considered for sure. And I think a lot of these Toronto lines, I know Van Vliet's questionable, so we'll kind of see what the case is there. I think this might be a skip game for now, just with
yeah, we're waiting on a
those
lot of
pretty
stuff.
impactful lines and injuries.
Yeah. Ooh, another one that I like here actually.
Utah, Dallas, man. Talk about another team that is 6-2, the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, man. Talk about guys playing well. Lauri Markkanen has been pretty crazy. 222 total, 6.5 point spread for the 3-3 Dallas Mavericks. Christian Wood's expected to play. That's kind of the biggest injury question mark here in this game. Pretty much everyone's playing. Yeah, talk to me, Goose. What was the line you liked in this one?
I like Markkanen again. Is he at 18.5 or 19.5 on underdog here?
Let me pull it up for you.
I think he's got probably the
It's
best
at
matchup.
18.5.
Okay, yeah, I still like that a lot. Probably got the best matchup here against the Mavericks. He's going to be guarded by either Reggie Bullock. DFS is a good defender, but I like Markkanen's kind of oversized 3-man in this against this Dallas lineup.
Yeah.
I like him the most. Clarkson could have a good game too as well. I mean, Dinwiddie's not the greatest defender, neither really is Luka, but
Yeah.
Clarkson at 16.5 is also nice. But I mean, Markkanen has just been so much more consistent in his usage and scoring. I like Markkanen at 18.5, and then I also like Luka at rebounds and assists. I don't hate his 33.5 points just because of how insane he's been. But it's just it is very rich. But rebounds and assists, I believe he's at 16.5. Yeah, 16.5.
We don't have an underdog line for that, but I do like that.
Yeah, no underdog like that. I mean, it's a big pace up spot for the Mavs as well.
Yeah.
So I like a lot of scoring here. Christian Wood I thought was out. So
I think this game.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this game stays close too.
If Christian Wood plays too, I really like 15.5 for Christian Wood.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, I think it's a high pace matchup for the Mavs, and it could be a lot higher scoring. So even if Luka, covers that 33.5, there's still a lot of points to go around for like a Dinwiddie and a Christian Wood. So I like those two peripheral guys. Probably more on the points side of things. So I like Christian Wood. I like Markkanen. I don't hate Clarkson. I really like the rebounds and assists for Luka, but that's not on here. So
yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the peripherals are tougher for a lot of the Jazz. I was peeking at those earlier. I think I do probably just prefer playing like a Lauri points with kind of the volume we've seen. And yeah, I don't think it's like an easy matchup or anything. I think DFS is a pretty good defender. That's probably who he'll see a decent amount of, but I agree. I'm not worried about that. I think Lauri can still, we've seen him still have solid games against what we expected to be tougher matchups. So I like Lauri. Lauri's legit.
Kevin says Luka Boards. Yeah, I agree. I like Luka Boards. I like Luka Boards plus assists, just in case it's one of those random 12 assists, 8 board games. But
yeah, what do you got? Luka Boards as you get 8.5. Oh, you got 9 flat on underdog, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, that's one of those flat lines that's just kind of tough to like need the 10.
Yeah, you need the double. That's why I'd probably go rebounds plus assists. But I mean, I don't hate the play.
Yeah, what is his assist similar? Is he at 8.5? Okay, 8.5. Yeah, that's kind of tough. I think if you can get a good value on the rebounds and assists compared to each of those individually, I like that.
Yeah.
We'll kind of fly through and we'll kind of summarize on these last two ones. I know we're waiting on a Bane injury. I know he's a game time decision. Obviously missed the last game, so there's a chance he just misses this one as well. And then for the Blazers, no Dame, so it's going to be Sharp and Simons. This one, it's I don't know. I guess for some of the peripheral guys, it's probably bigger for if Bane is missing this one. But 226.5 total and only a 4.5 spread, which is pretty nice. Another man, talk about these teams. Memphis being 4-3.
Boy, just killing it.
with heavy juice to the over, but the juice backs off a little bit. Yeah. I like a lot of the lines that you call out that you were able to get at kind of like the lower hook. I think those are good lines. It gets tough on like these underdog sites and everything. Another game that you're kind of waiting on some injuries. AD obviously missed a game, so he's a questionable guy. We'll see if he's playing in this one. It's a really nice total. I would really like this game, man. 229. I think it's kind of nice because for the Lakers, you got no BI, so like I think this game could be somewhat close with what we've seen from the Pelicans when it's just like CJ, Trey Murphy, and Val. But Zion's expected to play and be healthy. So this is kind of one of those close games that would not surprise me if the Pelicans just kind of whop the Lakers.
Yeah, I don't know if Russ is playing in this one for sure, but I would like Russ in this game. I like the off the bench role. I like the matchup a lot. I just like exploiting the guard defense for the Pelicans. So I like Russ. I actually don't hate Lonnie Walker at 15.5. It's a little rich though, so
yeah. I'm cool to. I don't think there's a lot in these games, so I'm cool to kind of summarize kind of the plays that we like that we had talked about earlier. I know we went through a ton of games, but I think the biggest ones that jumped out for us. I know there were a lot of games that we were considering liking things in, and then it was kind of based on whatever the lines and injuries were going to be for the games. But I know we really like, even in the blowout potential game, I still like Jaden Ivey points at that 13.5 line that he was at. I just think that's a really good line for him and how aggressive he's been offensively. He's been good, man.
Yep, I like that line. I like Zubats a lot at 11.5 against Houston.
Yeah.
I think that game's higher scoring. I think it's a good matchup. And again, he should get a lot of minutes there. So I really like 11 for Zubats.
I like Trey in MSG, man. I think even at that like higher Trey line, I think that's one of those where in that game with the total that Vegas tells you, they're telling you it's going to be a close game. That's going to be like a 233 total. And it's like, man, I think Trey easily can have, 29 plus if the Hawks are putting up 120 or 115 or whatever in that game.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Luka rebounds and assists a lot. They don't have that lineup. I don't hate Brunson points and assists. I think it's at 24.5. It's another one that I liked, but I think my favorites are probably like you said, Ivy, Zubats. I do like Trey. I'm trying to think of the other ones here. Let me look at the team slate.
Yeah,
I really like Harden points, but we'll probably have to wait and see about that one.
That's it's kind of a tough wait and see one. Yeah, and Laurie points, that was one. I know we liked. I think we'll head to the drawing board. I like the way that we format these and kind of go through them. I think it would be cool to kind of figure out the best way for us to share picks. So let us know in the chat or the comments of the video, whatever, if you guys have any ideas or requests for how we kind of do these moving forward. Because I love doing these, but I know it's Trey or Trey. Trey Young is who I was talking about.
Yeah,
they're playing the Knicks, so tonight. So I do, but I like Trey Jones too. I like both those guys' points line. With no Vassell and no Keldon Johnson, that's two pretty huge monster offensive usage guys for the Spurs that are out. So I think Trey, while Trey should probably just have a solid assist game, like you kind of expect from him in that role. But I think he's one of those guys where like his line is still low. It's removing two high offensive usage guys. So like that. I'm up early at like 5 a.m. scouting for Valley. I'm sure everything's been pumped by now. Hey, that's what it's all about. I do like that. It's so tough for NBA, right? Because you get some of these lines that are early, but then you also have to wait on like some injury stuff for games to have the full slates up. It's tough, man. But hey, we're out here grinding. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Much love, and we will see you in the next one. Peace out.